Hero Return is set in 2093, where monsters of unknown origin suddenly appear and start attacking humans. Crime around the world increased dramatically from year to year and caused chaos everywhere. Until finally 2 years later, the first superhero in the history of mankind, Zero, finally appeared and defeated the monsters. Immediately after the appearance of Zero, who succeeded in defeating the monsters, other superheroes also appeared. And together, they tried to eradicate the evil that had run rampant throughout the world, and gradually succeeded in bringing back world peace so that all mankind could live in safety. However, after world peace was achieved and the situation became safe and under control, Zero suddenly disappeared and is now known to have been living a normal life while hiding his powers. Zero, whose real name is Linji, now lives with his younger sister, Lin Wan, who he thinks is very fussy because she always tells Zero to find a permanent job to help her fulfill their needs. Zero is annoyed and then goes out of the house to look for work. But he was instead involved in a fight that occurred between a young man named Shishin against a group of bandits led by a man nicknamed Black Hand. Shishin is a C-level hero who is trying to get a promotion to raise his level to B level. Because of this goal, Shishin, who seems quite good at dealing with Black Hand, turns out to have paid Black Hand and his gang to give in when they fought each other. However, because of Zero's interference in their fight, Black Hand finally went berserk and took out his signature move. Shishin became overwhelmed with it. Not long after, there came a young man named Zan Chen who was an A-level hero who confidently challenged Black Hand to a fight. Because Chen's abilities were inferior to Shishin's, he could easily be defeated by Black Hand. Before Chen was killed by Black Hand, who seemed so irritated with him, Zero then took out his weapon, and could easily take down Black Hand with just one hit. Seeing Zero's great strength, Chen immediately begged Zero so that he was willing to become his partner. Chen even dared to follow Zero to his house and lure the fantastic salary and bonuses that will be obtained by Zero if he is willing to be a hero, as well as his assistant. Without thinking, Lin Wan immediately agreed to Chen's offer, and forced Zero to accept the job offer. The next day, Chen takes Zero to the Heroic Association building, where Zero will take a series of competency tests before he gets the title of a hero recognized by the government. Chen explained a little about the history of a superhero named Zero, who has saved the world with the help of a team of SS-level superheroes. However, Zero himself doesn't seem to remember that he had ever fought alongside other heroes because he only remembers fighting alone. In the first competency test, Zero will face a Tier B hero, a man named Yatan. Seeing Zero's ordinary look, Yatan slightly underestimated the strength that he possessed. But unexpectedly, Zero was able to withstand Yatan's attack with ease, and managed to defeat him without having to bother using the great strength he had. After being defeated by Zero, Yatan was taken to the infirmary for treatment because he was badly injured in the head. A woman named Miss Dong, who was accompanying Yatan, informed that Yatan had been defeated by an ordinary youth whose strength might be on the level of a tier hero. Zero turned out to be getting low scores on the written exam. Even Zero wrote that he didn't want to be a hero at all. Chen, knowing that Zero got a low score on the written exam, then made fun of him. But because Zero is now officially a hero, Chen then asks Zero to be his partner. However, Zero immediately rejected Chen's request because he thought having a partner would only make it difficult for him in battle. Zero, who was about to leave, accidentally saw a young man named Yan King, who was being bullied by a group of people just because he really admired Zero the superhero. The bullies, who called themselves the Golden Triangle, actually didn't like Zero and instead mocked Zero, who they thought was dead. Chen, who heard this, then came forward to fight them. However, before Zero could reply to them, a young man named Sheng appeared and said something to the Golden Triangle. Surprisingly, the Golden Triangle group looked frightened when they faced Sheng, even though he was an A-tier hero who was a level below them. Not wanting to have anything to do with Sheng, the group eventually fled from there. They finally got to know each other. When Zero found out that Sheng had the same hobby, Zero seemed enthusiastic and offered Sheng to partner with him. After that, the four of them then formed a group. But later, Sheng revealed that the reason the Golden Triangle stayed away from him, as well as everyone else, was because being near Sheng would be bad luck to all of them. Sure enough, not long after they got acquainted with each other, suddenly Sheng accidentally destroyed the room and caused Yan King to be seriously injured. Because of that, Zero and Chen then asked Sheng to keep their distance from them so they wouldn't have any unwanted misfortune. After Yan King recovers from his injuries, Zero and his heroes team get their first task, which is to catch a gang of criminals who carry out biochemical transactions illegally by trading their monsters. Zero and his team managed to thwart the transaction, but they had to deal with a dung monster that was being traded. Although only using a little of his strength, Zero was able to beat the monster so that it bounced far into densely populated settlements, which then caused chaos there. Chen and Zero then worked together to defeat the monster. With Zero's power and Chen's cutting-edge technology, they finally managed to defeat the monster. However, unexpectedly, the monster then turned into a little girl. Not knowing where to take her, Zero then took the girl to his house, where Zero assumed that the girl was an experimental victim of the criminal gang. Through information obtained from Miss Dong, Zero finally learns that there is a genetic evolution company that has set up a charity to use abandoned homeless children to be the subjects of their experiments, and one of them is a little girl who was saved by Zero and his team. Miss Dong also informed that the company was in cahoots with the Heroic Association president, a man named Yang Rui, so that it was very difficult for them to stop the cruel experiments carried out by the genetic evolution company. Zero, who heard this, suddenly became furious, and his anger immediately peaked until it shook the place and almost killed Chen and Miss Dong, who were nearby. Since Miss Dong said that the company might send assassins to get the girl back, Zero finally decided to keep the girl with him. However, Lin Wan, who knew that Zero brought a little girl home, assumed that Zero had kidnapped the girl. After Zero and his team explained everything to Lin Wan, she understood and happily accepted the girl's presence in their house. Even Lin Wan was so familiar with her, so Lin Wan named her Miu Miu and considered her part of their family. When Lin Wan was taking Miu Miu to buy some clothes, suddenly Zero and his team were approached by the Golden Triangle, who wanted to take them and Miu Miu on orders from Yang Rui. The Golden Triangle, who initially underestimated Zero and his team because they were only level A heroes, turned out to be easily defeated by Zero in a fairly short time. Yang Rui, knowing that his men had been defeated by Zero and his team, suddenly became irritated. However, the director of the genetic evolution company, a man named Gan, turns out to have prepared another plan to defeat Zero and his team and get their precious experimental subject back. That night, a female assassin ordered by the company director then infiltrated Chen's house to kill him. However, the two of them got involved in an embarrassing incident which made the woman run away from there, thinking that Chen was a pervert. Meanwhile, elsewhere, the male assassin, whose strength was on par with a tier A hero, was about to ambush Zero's residence and capture the girl. However, his action was immediately caught by Zero, who immediately hit him with his flagship weapon. Knowing that he could not defeat Zero with his strength, the man then injected something into his body, which then turned him into a terrible monster whose strength was equivalent to a level S hero. However, no matter how hard the man tried to defeat Zero, the man still couldn't even land a punch on Zero's body. After immobilizing the man, Zero then left and said not to bother him and the girl anymore. However, because the man threatened to kill Miu Miu and his sister, Zero didn't care anymore about the rules that forbade fellow heroes to kill each other, and took the man's life straight away. A few days later, Miss Dong gathered Zero and his team at a place where Miss Dong planned to arrest Yang Rui and his gang at once while they were having a meeting. Chen and the others seemed excited, especially when Miss Dong told them that they would also be assisted by an A-level hero named Xiao Ye, as well as the Muscle League. Long story short, Zero and his team have been preparing to carry out their plans in a predetermined place. The battle finally ensued, where Chen again faced the female assassin who had infiltrated his house. Meanwhile, Miss Dong fought one-on-one with Yang Rui, while Zero will fight against Gan, who injected their experimental serum, which was also used by the assassin that Zero had killed before. On the other hand, Xiao Ye and Yan King seemed to have a hard time dealing with the sniper attacks that made their movement difficult. Likewise, Miss Dong, whose strength was unable to match Yang Rui, ended up lying helpless. Meanwhile, even though he had used the power-boosting serum many times over, Gan still had a hard time dealing with Zero, who was indeed overpowered and immediately knocked the man down with just a few light punches. Zero, who is annoyed that Gan has used innocent children to be his experimental subjects, then beats Gan to a pulp. Elsewhere, Chen managed to melt the heart of the female assassin who was about to kill him, and made the woman side with him. Meanwhile, Miss Dong, who was in a state of urgency, was finally rescued by Zero. Yang Rui then re-injected the serum to face Zero. However, Zero was able to easily withstand his attack with one hand, and then threw him into the air. Yang Rui didn't just stay silent, and immediately launched a deadly attack at Zero. But the attack didn't work on Zero, and Yang Rui was finally defeated. Likewise with his sniper, who was defeated by Xiao Ye. The next day, Zero then visited his friend who was being treated at the hospital after the fight last night. Yan King seems to be getting closer to Xiao Ye, while Chen seems to be intimate with the female assassin named Fei Wu, who is now his maid. Miss Dong then suggested that they all take special training to increase their strength. However, Zero refused to join the training because he thought it was very troublesome. Hearing this, his friends immediately felt irritated and forced Zero to take part in the training. Zero then said that they would not be able to defeat him, even if they attacked him at once. Feeling slighted by Zero, Miss Dong and the others then challenged Zero to fight with them at once. Despite dealing with Miss Dong, who is one of the greatest heroes in the city, Xiao Ye, who is a level hero, and Favor, who is a skilled assassin, Zero was able to defeat them all without even needing to use his special powers. Realizing that they could not force Zero to join the training, Miss Dong then let him go from there. Elsewhere, Lin Wan turns out to be working at a biochemical company that conducts experiments on Miu Miu and other homeless children. At that place, Dr. Keen, who was in charge of the experiment, apparently failed to cure Yang Rui after the fight against Zero. Knowing that Yang Rui was useless, the Yang elder then killed him and appointed Dong Yang, Miss Dong's brother, as the new Heroic Association president. Not only that, Dong Yang also sent his best scientist, a man named Mu Sili, who would help Dr. Keen complete his experiments. Long story short, all the heroes of the Heroic Association gathered at the heroes' headquarters to hear the welcome remarks and speeches from Dong Yang as their new president in the association. After that, Miss Dong approached her brother to ask something. But Dong Yang bullied her viciously, which then made Miss Dong fall and cry because Dong Yang turned out to have matched Miss Dong with the man he chose, and Miss Dong was powerless to resist it. Zero and the others then came to defend Miss Dong. But Dong Yang then brought out his mental strength that couldn't be underestimated. Through his gaze and his bluster, Dong Yang was able to make the people who were there fall down. However, this power didn't work at all on Zero, which immediately gave off a more powerful and terrifying aura, and made Dong Yang fall down and vomit blood. After that, Zero and the others then left, and told Sheng to keep an eye on Miss Dong from a distance for fear of her safety. Meanwhile, in another place, Lin Wan turned out to be doing research on her pet dog, where Lin Wan managed to increase the dog's intelligence to make the dog good at reading and learning on his own. Not long after, a man named Long Wenfeng appeared, a young businessman who had a deep crush on Lin Wan. Long Wenfeng tried to warn Lin Wan to run away from there immediately, because the once funding Professor Kun's research center with the Dong family and the Yang family, which he thought had ulterior motives. But Lin Wan refused and wanted to save Professor Keen. Because Lin Wan insisted on continuing to work there, Long Wenfeng then ordered his guards to keep an eye on her. That night, when Sheng was watching Miss Dong from a distance, he saw a blonde-haired man named Zi Hao who was picking up Miss Dong, accompanied by 4 robots. Zi Hao turned out to be one of the Yang family members who had been betrothed to Miss Dong. Because Miss Dong refuses to marry a member of the Yang family, whom she considers a family of criminals, they get into an argument. Yeten and the members of the Muscle League who heard the commotion then appeared to help Miss Dong. However, they are no match for the robots who can easily defeat them with one hit. Zi Hao then forced Miss Dong to come with him. But before leaving, Zi Hao shot down Sheng because he had known all along that he was watching them. Seeing that all of her friends had been defeated, Miss Dong begged Zi Hao not to kill them, and finally agreed to go with him. After Miss Dong and Zi Hao left, one of the robots seemed to want to kill Sheng. Luckily, Zero arrived on time and managed to save him. Zero then realizes that he can't destroy the robots in the usual way because they can regenerate. He finally took out his ultimate weapon, the Fire Spirit Sword. With the power of the sword, he managed to destroy the robots. Zero, knowing that Miss Dong had been taken away, became angry and planned to destroy the Yang family right away. However, Chen and the others tried to restrain Zero and asked him to strategize beforehand so that they could save Miss Dong easily. With Feiwu's intelligence and Lin Wan's pet dog, they managed to hack into the security system of the Yang family residence. Zero and the others then planned to thwart Miss Dong's wedding, which will take place the next day. Long story short, Zero finally managed to infiltrate the Yang family residence and met Miss Dong. However, when they were about to escape from there, Zi Hao was already waiting for them and then challenged Zero to fight him if he wanted to take Miss Dong away from there. Without thinking, Zero then accepted the challenge. Their fight was then held in a stadium which was watched by many people, one of whom was Dong Yang. However, before the fight started, Dong Yang instead left the battle arena. The battle finally began, and Zi Hao was not just a random person. The man was able to bother Zero with a barrage of attacks and a very formidable defense. Zero was finally able to break Ziho's defenses and punched him hard in the face. After that, Zero launched a green dragon sword attack to beat him. Zi Hao, who had gone mad, then put all his strength into attacking him. But again, the attack didn't work on Zero, who instead responded casually. Having no other choice, Zi Hao then activated the power of the forbidden magic scroll made by an SS-level magic master. Releasing that cursed scroll alone was capable of blowing up the entire place. Zi Hao seemed to have turned into a demon with terrifying power. He then threw a very powerful energy wave towards Zero, hoping to kill him. However, Zero countered the attack with a green dragon sword move, which then made Zi Hao defeated and lay helpless. Seeing Zero, who finally managed to beat Zi Hao, Miss Dong immediately rushed over to Zero to hug him. However, suddenly something strange happened, where everyone other than Zero who was there stopped moving. Even all the living things in the city also stopped moving as if some great power was controlling them. It turned out that the power came from Dongyang, who had used Lin Wan's experiments that had succeeded in increasing her pet dog's intelligence. During the fight, Dongyang secretly went to the lab and used the experimental machine to obtain such a formidable power. Dongyang turns out to be jealous of Zero for having great strength, which can make him vomit blood just by bullying him. Whereas in the past, Dongyang was a boy who greatly idolized Zero, and hoped to be like him when he grew up. However, it seemed that Dongyang did not know that the young man he was facing this time was Zero, whom he admired so much. He then took out his flagship move to attack him. But Zero was able to break his attack with just a glance and the power of his aura. Dongyang was angry, then attacked Zero blindly until finally managed to injure him. Taking advantage of the opportunity when Zero was caught off guard, Dongyang then entered Zero's subconscious and saw so many monster sightings there. Dongyang also saw Zero, who was hugging a woman while crying. After that, Zero turned out to awaken his great power and turned into Zero the superhero. Dongyang finally found out that he was the one whom he admired so much. However, Dongyang, who felt disapproved, then raised his superpower to match Zero's strength. However, with the power of Excalibur's sword, Zero was able to break Dongyang's attack. After that, Zero used one of his signature moves, the Zero form of judgment, to beat him. Zero then returns to his human form. Before dying, Dongyang asked Zero why he could be that strong. Zero then took off his clothes and showed the scars he got during the fight against monsters around the world. Because of that, Zero became very strong and invincible. The anime ends with Zero and Miss Dong saying good.